51 laps to go. Logano off turn 4, beginning to put some daylight between himself and Jeff Gordon. Make it about 8 car lengths. Then comes Jamie McMurray. Then comes Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now top 5.
Off turn number 2 they come. And down the back straightaway, Matt Kenseth has returned to the track. He is well off the pace, just trying to log some laps right now. Logano's lead continues at 6 car lengths.
Stacking up from 7th on back. That's where Ryan Newman leads a parade of 3 cars. Casey Kane is there. Kevin Harvick is there, and Jimmy Johnson now closing in.
Jimmy Johnson trying to make that a 4-car battle, led by Martin Truex Jr. A car length back to Newman. Right on his back bumper, Casey Kane, then Kevin Harvick, then 2 more back to Johnson.
Now remember that Kurt Busch went to the garage. Let's give you an update on where the Chase contenders are running at the moment, as we are now down to 48 laps to go. Before we do that, why don't we check in on Kurt Busch, who's in the garage. Alex Hayden's there.
Well, there were 18 sets of hands for Brad Keselowski working to get his right front repaired and back on the track. Kurt Busch is in. They've got 11 sets of hands as they repair the right front on Kurt Busch's car. They did not put the entire car on jack stands, only the right side. They're putting the hood pins back in. They've ripped away some of the inside ductwork on the right front corner that cools the brakes. He's going to be without a right front quarter panel, but they're just
Trouble in one! Matt Kenseth just wrecked Joey Logano. He waited on him, and as the leader came by, Kenseth rammed him all the way to the safer barrier in turn number 1. We all know where the story came from. Payback for Matt Kenseth.
Back at Kansas Speedway, that was the case that Dave is referring to when Matt Kenseth was leading, closing laps. Joey Logano tapped him, knocked him out of the win. Matt did not forget about it. He pulled back on the racetrack, and you could see, Jeff, he was just waiting for Joey to close in and try to make the pass.
I don't even know what to say about what I just saw right here on lap 453. Dave Moody called it perfectly. Matt Kenseth, without question, ran down the race leader, took him all the way up the racetrack into the outside retaining wall. Now both cars have come to a stop down in turns 1 and 2. Matt Kenseth just off the apron. That car sits quietly just about another 50 yards away. Joey Logano's car sits stalled out on the apron. Logano, as we can see on the Sprint Vision screen, trying to fire it up. Matt Kenseth already has his hat on. He's climbed out of the race car. He is walking away. What can you say about what we just saw, Joe?
NASCAR has passed the word. The 20 is parked. If he did have a car that continue, he is done for the day, but he looks pretty satisfied. The look on his face as he climbs out of his Toyota down in turn number 1 after ramming the race leader, Joey Logano. And obvious payback. That's something else we talked about at the start of the broadcast. Would we see payback here today? The answer is yes.
I don't think we have seen the end of this one by a long shot. The 4 in a row opportunity by Joey Logano was in reach. Not anymore.
From Martinsville Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR. Back at Martinsville Speedway, the field is parked here along the front straightaway after kind of what we expected to go on here this afternoon. I don't think we expected it to be so blatant. Matt Kenseth chases down Joey Logano, the race leader, slams him into the wall down in turn number 1. Both likely done for the day, and the streak by Joey Logano ends here.
Boy, and you know what? You used the word slammed. That's an understatement. I mean, they just about knocked the wall down over there, talking about Matt and Joey Logano. Now, obviously, all the attention has been turned onto pit road. Logano has climbed from his car. Kenseth has climbed from his car. And Alex Hayden, I got to believe things a little testy down there at the moment.
Yeah, Tom Logano is the father of Joey Logano. He was sprinting down the garage area, which runs parallel to the backstretch. Joey Logano, being the points leader, has the first transporter parking spot, which is right here at the exit of turn number 2. Well, Tom Logano was headed to the care center. He knew that's where Matt Kenseth was, and he was making a beeline. Who grabbed him? It was his crew chief, Todd Gordon literally tackled him, held on to him with both arms. They had to restrain him with 3 other Pennzoil-clad members of Joey Logano's team to keep Tom Logano from getting to the care center to try to go after Matt Kenseth. You've got a daddy now involved in this thing.
Wow. That's all you can say. Wow. Brad Keselowski having a problem earlier on that most recent restart when he was racing trying to get the second spot and got spun over there. Brad had to go to the garage, spent some time, has come back out. As a result of that, Kurt Busch had to go to the garage. And now Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano, that's 3 chase contenders in the last 15 minutes that likely are eliminated from the race here today.
And 2 of them, Team Penske. I mean, Team Penske has dominated this race. They will dominate it no more, that is for sure. In fact, the question is, will Team Penske move on and either of those drivers become Final 4?
Let's hear what Joey Logano was saying to his spotter, Tab Boyd.
Still down there, still down there, still down there, still down there. That's a chick move right there.
I think you know what the beeps took the place of. When he said still down there, he was talking about Matt Kenseth, who was still down on the inside of the racetrack. Tab Boyd calling out to his driver, don't come down yet, he's still there. And then suddenly you hear the beeps, and you know what happened when the beep started.
Well, sooner or later, you have to turn down there because you run out of straightaway, and that was obviously what Joey Logano was faced with as he approached the end of the front straightaway. Now, if you don't have your tickets for Texas and you don't have your tickets for Phoenix or Homestead, Miami, you may want to think about getting them, because I can pretty much assure you, Joe, that what we are seeing here today is going to move on to next week and the following week and all the way until we get to South Florida. Team Penske, that was so good in this race, now are going to move on to Texas, more than likely on the bottom, looking up. And speaking of looking up, you know who is going to be at the top of the leaderboard when we do finally go back under the green flag? Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon will be up front, and the fans are going to love that as we're down to 46 laps to go. Now, Matt Kenseth, Jason Ratcliffe, the crew chief, and Joe Gibbs, the team owner, have been called to the NASCAR hauler after the race this afternoon for this blatant move going off into turn number 1, putting Joey Logano out of the event. Tempers still flaring down in the garage. What do you guess it's going to be like between these teams going into the final 3 races of the year?
Well, that's what I mean. If you don't have your tickets yet, you probably ought to get them, because, you know, obviously Joey still has a chance to advance to Homestead Miami Speedway. I mean, he has proven the ability in the last 4 races to simply drive out front, lead them all, and win it. But that's probably what Joey is going to have to do now, because we're going to have to wait for everything to cycle around and find out where Joey's going to ultimately end up. But it's going to be at the bottom of the leaderboard for sure. The only way Joey's going to be able to move on, Joe Moore, is to do what Kevin Harvick did a year ago, and that is to win, or he is going to be on the outside looking in.
Let's see how Matt Kenseth responded to what happened.
Wow, man, I guess the right front went down there. You okay? What's going on down here? Yeah, I'm okay.
Matt Kenseth and his spotter. I don't think Matt sounded all that excited about what took place in typical deadpan Matt Kenseth style. He did exactly what he set out to do, though.
Yeah, he did, and he didn't fail. He did it to perfection. So let's see if we can hear from Joey Logano.
Joey Logano has just absolutely walked away from us after he talked to television. Joey Logano just turned and walked away. So maybe Alex Hayden on the other side. But Joey Logano, obviously very frustrated, just walked away and did not stop and do the interview.
He is headed back to garage stall number 1, and we can see him on the Sprint Vision screen, headed over to where his Ford is on jack stands. We'll see if we can catch up with Joey Logano in just a moment. Alex Hayden is in hot pursuit there. Winston Kelly doing everything he can to try to get you the sides of this story, and I'm not sure there's really, how do you say there's sides to this story, Joe? There's only one side.
It's pretty simple. Matt Kenseth slammed him into the wall, remembering what happened at Kansas Speedway several weeks ago. And again, at Martinsville Speedway, how many drivers did we talk to this week? And we asked that very question. Do you expect to see some retaliation for not only that incident, but other incidents that have happened throughout the course of the year? I think as Paul Menard has said to us this morning, he said, if you're going to do that, this is absolutely the best place on the circuit to do it.
So let's go back to Dave Moody. Dave, what you have just witnessed, I mean, you've been calling racing, short track racing, big track racing for years and years and years. This has been something special here.
It was pretty plain, Jeff. Matt Kenseth said coming out of Kansas, Joey Logano would not win the championship and that he would see to it. It was a tailor-made situation, although a horrible situation for Kenseth. His car was torn to shreds. He was not going to have even anything approaching a decent finish here this afternoon. He was just limping and just fighting that car around the racetrack, waiting for his opportunity. And I'll say this, he was as good as his word.
Matt Kenseth is outside the infield media center, the care center, right now, talking to reporters. We're going to join him in a few moments and see what his take is on this. I can't imagine it's going to be much more than, yeah, I told you I was going to get him, and I did. We'll hear from him in just a matter of moments. Again, the cars parked along the front straightaway. The cleanup is just about complete in turns 1 and 2, as we still have 46 laps remaining, and Jeff Gordon is the race leader. Here at Martinsville Speedway, Jamie McMurray, Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex Jr., that'll be the top 5 when the green flag falls again, hopefully in just a few moments, because again we're running out of sunlight here.
Joey Logano in garage stall number 1, looking at the repairs on his car. They can't do anything yet because we're still under the red flag. Matt Kenseth has just come out of the infield care center. Winston Kelly.
Well, Matt Kenseth has come out of the infield care center talking to other reporters. He's got a Gatorade in his hand. We're going to try to get a comment from him. He looks to be just kind of matter of fact as he's talking through what happened. We want to find out what happened in that particular situation with Joey Logano and the other incident that happened on the other restart. So Matt Kenseth in his yellow and black Dollar General Toyota uniform. Hope to get a comment from him as he wraps up talking to some other reporters down here. Matt Kenseth had to battle back, if you recall. He had some problems early on. Matt, first of all, what happened in the situation there with Joey?
Well, I don't know exactly. They were both jacking up the restart, trying to let each other in, and I got in there and tried to pass Joey, and Brad got into me off the corner real hard. So I don't know what happened, and definitely wrecked their day.
How about on the other and the situation that happened with Joey here going into turn number 1?
Yeah, definitely my fault. I got into him, so the right front was dragging down there, and probably should have went to the garage area and went into the corner there and couldn't get it to turn and collected him. So I know it's got to be disappointing for him. It's a tough sport. Some days you're the bat, some days you're the ball. I was a ball a few weeks ago, and I was a ball again today. So that part is never fun.
That's the thoughts of Matt Kenseth as he gave a recount of both incidents, one with Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, and then giving another recount of what happened. Said that he did get into Joey Logano, did not say it was intentional, but said that his front was dragging on the car, and he did get into Joey Logano.
Would you call that the height of diplomacy, political correctness? He worded that perfectly.
Well, when the car won't turn, the car won't turn.
It's Matt Kenseth we're talking about, out of the race, going to the NASCAR hauler along with his crew chief and team owner after today's race here at Martinsville Speedway.